Hey everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the Cryptoverse. I figured we would live stream the potential highest monthly close ever. So let us live stream it and we'll see what happens. Let me just post this a couple different places and we will go ahead and jump in. All right. The monthly close is coming in hot in 18 minutes. So it should be fairly interesting to see where it closes at. Note that this, unless we just have a catastrophic drop here in the next 18 minutes, this should in fact be the highest monthly close that Bitcoin has ever seen, right? It should be the highest monthly close that Bitcoin has ever seen. You can see here the monthly close. You can see it's in 16 minutes, just under 17 minutes. We're going to have the monthly close. So the highest monthly close we've ever had for Bitcoin is 58,793. All right, 58,793, and we've never had a monthly close above 60K. Now we have had a weekly close above 60K. Okay, so. We have had a weekly close above 60K, so that won't be that interesting. The weekly close, the weekly close is always somewhat interesting because we get an update to our bull market support band, of course, which should continue climbing higher. It's already, the 20 week is already at 45.5K, the 21 week EMA is at 49K. So we'll expect those to continue climbing higher as they already are, right? As they already are. But the monthly close, I think, is a bit more interesting because we've already had weekly closes. We've already had weekly closes above 60K. Actually, the highest weekly close we've ever had is 61,532. So if we close above 61,532, then we're also putting in the highest weekly close ever, right? So maybe those would be some areas to watch out for. 61,532 for the highest weekly close, which we're basically just below that right now, so we're coming fairly close. And then for the highest monthly close, we should have no problem clearing it as long as we're above 58.8K. We should have the highest monthly close ever. I do think it would look nice, if Bitcoin could at least close above 60K, right? Above 60K, I think would look pretty nice if we could in fact get a close above that level, and it looks like we're going to. As we have just over 15 minutes left. How are you guys doing tonight? Someone says clearly just a dead cat bounce. Yeah, I don't think so. This is not what dead cat bounces look like, right? This is what just a 3 to 6 month lull in the market, right? It's nothing more than a 3 to 6 lull in the market, not a dead cat bounce. Similar to 2013 to some degree. Albeit there are a lot of things about 2013 that are stretched out in this version, but except for the time between the all-time highs, that was actually about pretty dead even with 2013, about 6 months later. So no, I don't think it looks like a dead cat bounce at all. I think the market looks really bullish, right? I think the market looks relatively bullish. We do have the next video on the Bitcoin, the beauty of mathematics, coming out tomorrow, so those are always interesting to update as we've seen them. As we've been following that for, 18, 19 months now. I don't even remember what version we're on, but that's always interesting to update. All right, what other questions do we have? Someone says the cat came back to life halfway through the bounce. Maybe you can call it a living cat bounce. Cats have 9 lives, so maybe this is just the first life. This has 8 more. Someone says, do I think the cycle peak will be Q1? I don't anticipate it to be this year. I've been pretty adamant about that for 2 or 3 years. I don't think the cycle peak is going to be in 2021. It seems to me like we're likely to go beyond 2021. Once we get beyond 2021, then of course we'll discuss more of the timeline on that. There's a lot of different indicators we've looked at in terms of the timing, whether you go based on the total crypto market cap. Some dubious extrapolations there could paint it in terms of, say, the summer of 2020. Obviously, if you look at the rate at which the cycle is lengthened, it could come before the summer of 20, or sorry, not 2020, 2022. If you look at the rate at which it's lengthened, could come before that. But again, I mean, it could even extend beyond the summer of 2022 if you do an Arrhenius plot of the number, the time when the peaks occurred, 1 over t, and then plotted, it would actually have it further out than that. But I think for now, I think the main thing is just I'm speculating on is that it's not this year, and we'll see what happens. Obviously, that could change if Bitcoin goes parabolic into the last couple of months of the year. If we're looking at a 150k Bitcoin or 200k Bitcoin in 2 months, then there is a decent chance that is the market cycle peak. But as long as we're just kind of doing this and kind of hanging out, slowly trending higher with time, then I would still argue we have clear skies ahead for a while, with some bumps along the way. Right now, I mean, with us chilling at 61k, I don't really think we're not in any immediate danger of a blow off top, right? I don't look at this chart and say it looks like we're in the middle of a blow off top. I think we'd have to put in much higher numbers on Bitcoin than 61k for us to consider this the end of the market cycle, in my opinion, right? In my opinion, of course, I could be wrong, but I would dubiously speculate that the general direction of Bitcoin will remain up over the macro scale. I think it'll continue to remain up for this market cycle. As I've said before, I do think the entire asset class for the cycle is going to head to about $10 trillion. That's not just Bitcoin, though. That's the entire asset class. You guys can see that a lot of other cryptocurrencies are doing quite well. Ethereum is doing quite well as well. So I would say I think the entire asset class will ultimately head to 10 trillion this market cycle. And I think right now we're at 2.5 trillion, 2.6, 2.7 trillion, somewhere in that area. So then theoretically speaking, the entire asset class as a whole, I would speculate still has approximately a 4x left in it. Now, obviously, some coins will put in more than 4x, some coins will put in less than 4x, some coins will lose money from here until the market cycle peak. But on average, I would say there should still be approximately a 4x left in the market cycle. And of course, that would depend on how quickly it comes. If it does come this year, then I don't think it'll go as high. But if it goes into next year, which seems like the most likely path to me, then I do think a $10 trillion market capitalization is in the realm of possibility. I don't think it's going to happen in the next 2 months, but if you give it more time than that, I think we could certainly go to $10 trillion this market cycle. And again, Bitcoin is already over 1 trillion. And if you want my opinion on what else I think, I think Ethereum will probably hit a market cap of $1 trillion this cycle as well. I mean, probably above $1 trillion, to be completely honest. But if you look at some of these assets here, obviously Bitcoin is already over 1.1 trillion, right? So I think Ethereum should have no issues making it to 1 trillion later this cycle. I don't really think Ethereum will make it to 1 trillion until 2022, though. I do think it'll make it there. Probably, of course, assumes Bitcoin stays relatively healthy, but I don't think Ethereum will make it to 1 trillion until sometime, maybe Q1 or Q2 of 2022, something like that. I don't know if any other projects are going to make it to 1 trillion this cycle. Certainly Bitcoin's already there. Certainly it seems like Ethereum should make it there. Binance Coin is number 3 right now. It'd have to go to what, like $5,000-$6,000. I don't know. Certainly it seems like Ethereum. The other ones, I don't know. So imagine if Bitcoin is trading between, say, 2 to 4 trillion for the market cap for the final market cycle peak for Bitcoin, 2 to 4 trillion, something like that. Let's say 3 trillion, and let's say Ethereum is at 1.5 trillion or something. You're essentially talking about the rest of the asset class, like the entire altcoin market, also having a market capitalization of approximately 4 or 5 trillion. Now that does seem crazy, of course, but look at it. A lot of the projects are already trading near 100 billion. You have BNB at 87 billion, Cardano at 65 billion, Solana at 61 billion, XRP at 52, Polkadot at 42. If these projects, if all of them are putting in another 4x, 5x from here, it certainly seems plausible that we could be at 5 trillion. Imagine if BNB were to go up 4x, or Cardano were to go up 4x, or any of these projects were to go up 4 or 5x. It seems plausible. But anyways, let's see what Bitcoin does going into the monthly close. This is the minute time frame, so we can see what's going on in the short term. Here are the 4-hour candles. So the 4-hour candles are, we were sort of in this trend for a while, and we had a nice bounce off of it. I don't know how much you can take this stuff to the bank, but if you were to draw a line connecting the 4-hour candles, we did have a nice bounce off of this trend line. If we go to the daily time frame, we still have a ton of wiggle room in terms of our general uptrend. So I would say we're looking pretty good there. If we continue higher, then we're just, we're just kicking the can down the road, right? In terms of maybe retesting it one day. But for now, we have plenty of wiggle room between the uptrend. We have plenty of wiggle room between, say, the bull market support band and the current prices. Because again, the 20-week SMA is only at 45.5K, right? It's only at 45.5K. So we got tons of wiggle room there. I think the key thing that people want to know, right, is Bitcoin going to, let's see, here's the monthly. So this would be the highest monthly close ever. I don't think it's, unless we drop like $2,000 in the next 8 minutes, we should have a monthly close above the prior all-time high in terms of the prior all-time high for the monthly close, not the all-time high. We know that was at 67K or so. But again, the highest monthly close ever is about 58.8K. So, sorry if you hear my dog. I'm guessing we have trick-or-treaters. Anyways, I think the only thing scary would be not owning Bitcoin, right? Someone says they think we have to see 53K before building support. I don't know. I know a lot of people are calling for 53K. I don't know that it has to happen. I certainly think it's possible for us to trend up without going to 53K. What would 53K look like? I guess you're basically saying we go back to this area and we continue on. I don't think it really matters. If we go to 53K or not, I don't think it really matters at this point. Market looks pretty bullish, and I would say we're still in an uptrend, and hopefully we continue trending higher. All right, we got about 6 minutes now for the monthly close. Bitcoin is now at 61.3K, and we are about to bring in the month of November. The month of November is almost upon us. Make sure you guys subscribe if you're not subscribed, and give the video a thumbs up. Do I own Bitcoin? Of course I own Bitcoin. How could I talk about Bitcoin this much and not own Bitcoin? All right, the monthly close is now in 5 minutes. Some people are asking when is the month. Everyone basically bases it off UTC time. And you can see even on the charts, it has the monthly close coming in 5 minutes. So we have 5 minutes until the monthly close. Let's see where it ends up. And then once we get the monthly close, we'll see the November candle pop up. What is historical return in November? I'll get back to you on that. Maybe I'll make a video on that. I think it's pretty good. November tends to be a pretty good month as long as we're in a bull market. Obviously 2018 November, probably wasn't that great, but that was a bear market. November tends to be pretty good. Last November, what did we get? We got a 43% move. But note that last October was only 28%. So we had 28% and then 42%. This October, we had close to 42%, right? We had 40%. So if we flip-flop and we have 28%, we're still looking pretty good. Do you think Bitcoin will overperform alts for the coming months? Obviously it depends on how Bitcoin or how volatile Bitcoin is. I would think it's more likely than not to, but there's always going to be some altcoins that outperform Bitcoin. All right, we are coming in 3.5 minutes to probably the highest monthly close that Bitcoin has ever seen. So this will be quite interesting to see where it closes at. Again, the highest prior monthly close is at 58.8K. So we're already about what, 15 or 59.8, $2,500 above the prior highest monthly close ever for Bitcoin. So I'd say it looks pretty good. What are my views on Ethereum for next market cycle? I mean, it'll probably do pretty well. I mean, I don't know, 50K, 80K, 100K. I mean, it depends on how high it goes this cycle. If the market cycle peak for Ethereum this cycle is 10K, then the next cycle is probably not going to be, I mean, maybe it would be closer to 40 or 50K. But if this market cycle peak is at 20K for Ethereum, then I mean, maybe next cycle 100K is in the cards. I mean, I think it ultimately depends on how high Ethereum goes this market cycle, which I'm guessing at this point, I'm guessing Ethereum peaks at somewhere between 10 to 20K at this point. And the longer it takes us, I mean, the higher we could theoretically go. All right, we are coming in on the monthly close here in 2 minutes, and we are still looking good. We're holding relatively strong above $61,000. So let's see where we end up. We're less than 2 minutes away. Here are the minute candles, if you're curious. We're sort of just chopping at this point. We've been chopping here for a few hours. Well, maybe a couple hours. It'll be interesting to see where the bull market support band. I mean, I imagine the bull market support band should be above 46K. Maybe 47, somewhere between 46, 47K. All right, just over 1 minute to go. Is it possible one day Ethereum will outperform Bitcoin? Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin all the time. What kind of question is that? There's plenty of times in the past where Ethereum outperforms Bitcoin. All right, less than 1 minute, and we'll have a new monthly candle. 50 seconds. It's also getting the quarterly candle off to a good start as well. If you go to the 3-month candles, right? If you go look at the 3-month candles, not a bad looking 3-month candle. All right, let's watch it come in. We got 27 seconds until the monthly close. 61,354 is the current price. All right, there it was. The highest monthly close ever is in the books at a very modest $61,358. So we've started a new monthly candle now. You can see we've started November. We'll see where November takes us. And I mean, of course, we'll put out videos. We'll look at average returns in November and whatnot. I mean, if we just go look at the last few Novembers, this November over here was 43%. The November before that one obviously was not that great, but we were also sort of in like a mini bear market over here in 2019. That year we did negative 17%. Obviously we know 2018 was not good because that was a bear market. But if you go look at the November of 2017, it was a 55% move. If you go look at the November in 2016, it was a 6.4% move. If you go look at it in 2013, it was a very modest 471% move. Okay, so I would say it looks pretty good. All right, what questions do you guys have? And then I'm going to sign off. I'll try to answer a few questions first. House on the monthly for going into December. Is it better, in my opinion, to hold mostly Bitcoin than redistribute my capital among the coins after Bitcoin peaks its max? Well, you're also operating a very deterministic way in terms of thinking that you'll know when Bitcoin will hit its peak. I don't know. I mean, personally, I have more than just Bitcoin right now. I feel like going only Bitcoin would be somewhat foolish, especially considering all the gains we're seeing in the altcoin market and various sub-asset classes of crypto. So I would say personally, I think it makes sense to hold more than just Bitcoin, but I think it would also be foolish to not have Bitcoin be a decent percentage of your portfolio, because when it moves, it really leaves everything else behind. Hopefully that answers your question. Did you? No, I don't really miss nuclear engineering, not really. 20-week. Yeah, that's a good question. Where is the 20-week at? The 20-week is now at 46,828, so it's almost at 47K. All right, so I mean, I'm not anticipating us dumping down to the 20-week SMA this month, but I'm just saying, or the 20-week SMA. I'm just saying where it is now. The 20-week SMA is now at 46.8K, and the 21-week EMA is at 50K. So that would be the area we would want to hold the line if, in fact, we were to get a correction. But obviously, hopefully we don't, right? Hopefully we don't have to go back and test those levels. And also the 8-week moving average, which is something that's important to watch, as we were more or less holding it as support during the last leg of the cycle. That one currently is at 54,818. So that would potentially hold the line if we were to drop before we could even get to the bull market support band. All right, what other questions? Sorry, I need to pause the chat so I can actually see. Is closing below the predicted 63K a worrying sign? I'm not sure why closing below 63K would be a worrying sign. We just had the highest monthly close ever, and I'm not really sure why people are upset about that. I mean, this is legitimately the highest monthly close that Bitcoin has ever seen. It's ever been, and people are still somehow find reasons to be bearish, right? We just came off a 40% increase in the last month. Have some perspective, right? Zoom out. Even if we were to get a correction, Bitcoin is up 40% in the last month. I'd say that still looks relatively bullish to me. I mean, I understand people like finding reasons to be bearish, but that still looks pretty bullish to me. Yeah, Plan B prediction of 63K by the end of October. Yeah, I mean, well, how far off was he? He wasn't that far off. Was it 63? So if he predicted 63 for the end, I mean, he's not off that much. We would only need to go up. I mean, come on, guys, 2.5%. You can't nickel and dime someone off 2.5%. Come on, who gets out of bed for 2.5%? 2.5%, I think, is. I mean, if you're bearish because it didn't hit the 63K prediction by Plan B. I mean, come on, guys, give the guy some credit. I mean, he made this prediction when it was trading for like what, $34,000 or something. I think coming within 2.5% 3 months later is. I mean, I think you could look at that and say it's close enough. If you're trying to find a reason to be bearish because it didn't close above 63K, I think that's somewhat foolish. I mean, I really do think that's somewhat foolish. Bitcoin just came off a 40% move in October. Okay, so I would say have a little bit of perspective on that, right? Have a little bit of perspective on that. He said that was the minimum, though, to be fair. God, I mean, come on. You can't expect I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, 2.5% is close enough. I can't imagine why people would want to nickel and dime someone off such a small difference in a prediction made many months ago. So no, I mean, like if you're thinking like, oh, should we be bearish because it didn't hit that? I think that's pretty ridiculous. Give the guy some credit, right? Give the guy some credit. All right, what other questions? Can we look at the DXY? I mean, it's a 94.1. Probably the biggest concern with the DXY is just maybe hoping it doesn't go above that 100-week SMA, and we just keep getting rejected. If we keep getting rejected, I mean, I think Bitcoin is still likely to do pretty well here. So if you're not watching the dollar, the U.S. dollar currency index, maybe watch it this week. See if it, let's hope that it doesn't break out, right? I'd prefer for the dollar to sort of just get rejected here and come back down and sort of continue to pave the way for Bitcoin, pave the way for the stock market. Um, Someone says, "Oh yeah. I mean, I imagine it was the highest. So it was the highest monthly close for Ethereum. Actually, let's go look. The bull market support band for Ethereum now is between 3149 to 3300. Okay, so 3150 to 3300 is now the bull market support band for Ethereum. Let's go look at the monthly candles for Ethereum. And you can see that this is by far the highest monthly close for Ethereum. I mean, it's not even close, right? The prior highest monthly candle for Ethereum closed at 34.31. This one closed at 42.88. It looks pretty good to me, right? It looks pretty good to me. Who cares? I mean, who cares if it pulls back some? I mean, the trend does not change. The trend does not change, right? We're still generally trending up here. These are monthly candles, my friends. These are monthly candles. I mean, I'm telling you, in my opinion, yes, you can have pullbacks. Yes, you can have corrections. But generally speaking, I would argue that time is still very much on our side, and that Ethereum should generally head up with time. Is it concerning that we touched the 11-year resistance curve? I don't know what BS this is floating around the market. I mean, I know some people are talking about some resistance curve. Look, you can fit any curve to tell whatever story you want to tell. I don't really think it's that concerning. No, I'm not even really sure what curve you're talking about either. How was my hairline before I started crypto? Probably not as bad as it is today. Maybe go watch the video on my channel a couple years ago and you can make comparisons. There's a lot of talk about where and when we peak. At what level would you expect us to bottom out and when, assuming a 10 trillion market peak in the upcoming months, 5 to 12 months? Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think I've said before, the future bear market bottom for Bitcoin, if I had to guess, is probably somewhere around the current prices. Okay, now that doesn't mean we can't go down before going up first. But if I had to speculate, I would say it seems reasonable that the current prices could be the next bear market bottom. And I know you guys looking at the price right now probably don't care about that. But in the future, saying that would probably not go over very well. I think it's a decent chance. I mean, especially if Bitcoin were to do something like this and rally like that, then that could be the next bear market bottom, right? Somewhere around the current prices. Obviously, you're going to have to put some tolerance on that, but somewhere around there. Where are the chairs? What chairs? Someone says the bear market bottom will be the September 2021 lows. I mean, so I guess you're saying you think it's going to be 40K. I think it's possible you're right. Like, what I used to say is I think the next bear market bottom will be 50K plus or minus 10K. So it could be as high as 60K. It could be as low as 40K. You could be right. It could be as low as 40K. We're talking about a future bear market bottom after Bitcoin goes to, a future market cycle peak. The only reason I say that you could be right is if you look at the bull market support band for Bitcoin, we know the last time it tested the bull market support band in the last cycle was in September of 2017, right? And if you scroll over a line from that point, that was ultimately where the next bear market bottom found its support, just above it. So if you were to assume that this is the next bear market bottom, like right here, or just above it, then I can understand why you might say it could go as low as $40,000. And you could be right. I would say probably 50K plus or minus 10K. So maybe it'll stop bleeding at 60K. Maybe it would go back to 40K. But I mean, I don't think that's right. We don't need to really spend too much time talking about that right now, because I think for now, the most likely direction for Bitcoin remains up. Okay. I mean, yeah, could it come down and then continue up? Sure, it could do that. But I would still argue the most likely direction for Bitcoin remains up in the short term. And yes, eventually we'll come back down into a bear market more than likely. And this is why I'm saying I think somewhere, probably in this range is the next bear market bottom for Bitcoin. Somewhere in that range is probably the next bear market bottom. This is, of course, just nothing more than dubious speculation. Please don't take it to the bank, because I don't think they'll cash it in. All right, guys, I need to head out. If you guys like the content, make sure you subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, click the bell icon to turn on notifications, and I will see you next time. Bye.